Hi, I'm Shivani Manchanda, and I have been a counselor for more than 25 years actually. And for the most part, I have worked as a career counselor. I think my own career journey has been very interesting, and in many ways it has helped me form the opinions that I have about career counseling. So, for instance, when I started my college education, I was a good girl, and my parents put me into a home science program. However, I think that was not to be. And very soon within that, I found developmental psychology, which was one of the courses that I had at college. And using that, I went ahead and did my master's in developmental psychology. After that, I worked for about a year in a school as a psychologist, and I found that I was actually a lot more effective with students as a guide and a mentor. So very often the students would reach out to me in terms of guiding them about issues they might have been having with their parents, or concerns they had about their careers, things like that. And that really encouraged me. That whole 1 year of working as a teacher really encouraged me then to go on to do my teacher qualification. But more importantly, I decided then to go abroad to do my master's in counseling. And while I was doing the master's in counseling, it's very interesting that very often people believe that you make your career decision once, and then you sort of stick with it. But we are not made of wood, and we grow with each of the choices. Each choice that we make, उससे और भी कई ऑप्शंस निकल कर आती हैं. तो जैसे मैंने भी देखा कि वंस आई वाज sort of working as a teacher, I decided that this was not exactly it, but something else related to it would be right for me. So then I went ahead and applied overseas for my master's in counseling. And I think that is when really I came into my own. मेरे को लगा कि हाँ, मैंने एक सही डिसीजन लिया है अपने लिए. और कई बारी क्या होता है कि व्हेन यू टेक दीज डिसीजंस, you at least I was full of self doubt. I used to worry over ki, is this the right thing for me or not, or what kind of a counselor should I be? Should I work with couples? Should I work in school education, college education, or should I work in a company? So I also had a lot of self doubt about my own career. However, what I found was that the more internships I did, so I did about 3 or 4 internships while I was studying during my master's in counseling. And the internships really helped me to get an idea about what I would prefer to do. So, one of the internships I did personally was in a college where I worked as a career counselor. Another I did where I worked with adults and employees of an organization. And a third one I did where I worked with younger children and I worked in a school. And really speaking, when people ask me as a counselor, as a career counselor, that, how do you decide or how do you know? But I find that the the biggest way or the best way that I was at least able to decide for myself was using the strengths that I had. So जिस एरिया में मुझे लगा कि मेरी सबसे ज़्यादा स्ट्रेंथ्स यूज़ हो रही हैं, द एरिया दैट आई थॉट कि दिस इज़ रियली यूटिलाइजिंग ऑल द स्किल्स दैट आई हैव, एंड आई एम रियली, it's easy to me, it comes naturally. So amongst all the options that I tried, I found career counseling in a college setting to be really so called my favorite internship. Apart from that, I also did some summer jobs while I was overseas, where I then worked again in another setting in another college, and again as a counselor. And I really found that I loved working with young adults, and I loved working with motivated people, and I liked sort of guiding them, and more than even just doing career counseling from a very sort of a, do this from this institution kind of a knowledge based kind of a thing. I actually preferred to guide people about their career journey, their career path. So I've done a lot of mentoring with young people that I have worked. I've also worked actually with women in transition. I worked with young adults and mature adults as well. I think one of my oldest clients was about 45. So, what I find is that more and more now, people are looking at, changing their careers midway. I myself have done that. For instance, I ran my own company, Career Track, for which I am a founder director even now. I ran this company for about 20 plus years, and then I started to feel as if I wanted to do something different. I thought that I was becoming a little stale, as in like I had done it all kind of a thing. So then I approached an educational institution, and I re-equipped myself actually, because my whole training till now and whole experience had been in career counseling. So and I was already slightly older than most people would expect a counselor to be in a college or a school. So I had to re-equip myself. So I did a couple of courses online, and one of the courses was on positive psychology. Another course was on learning how to learn. Another one on positive psychology, again actually on happiness. So basically what I find is that these days a lot of opportunities exist. The facilities are there which will help us in terms of re-equipping ourselves midway through our career as well. So when I work with young people, or even with any adult, I always say, don't think of it, don't put too much pressure on yourself and think that अब एक ही बारी में सब करेक्ट डिसीजन हो जाना चाहिए, मुझे सेटल हो जाना चाहिए. नहीं, करियर प्लानिंग, करियर जर्नी is a lifelong process. You do something, and you introspect about, am I enjoying it, am I not enjoying it, and that kind of introspection, और अपना खुद के बारे में सोचना, you do, often. So you may enjoy it for 5 years, 10 years, and then you might find that you are ready to do something different. And I think that's really nice to give yourself that opportunity, अपने आप को एक वो फ्रीडम देना कि हाँ, मैं एक चीज़ कर रही हूँ, और जब तक मेरा दिल लगेगा, जब तक मुझे मज़ा आएगा करने में, तो मैं करूँगी. लेकिन अगर मेरे को उसके बाद लगेगा कि नहीं, थोड़ा सा अलग कुछ करना चाहिए, या मेरी लाइफ की सर्कमस्टांसेस अब चेंज हो गई हैं, और थोड़ा सा मुझको इसको रीशेप करना है, या थोड़ा सा अलग इसको एक डायमेंशन देनी है, तो आजकल इट इज़ पॉसिबल. आई थिंक एम्प्लॉयर्स आर ऑल्सो मोर ओपन माइंडेड. They don't sort of think कि अभी you shouldn't change careers midway, things like that. But also, while I was at college, I just want to remind that my first masters didn't really lead me anywhere. I did a job, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Then I did a B.Ed, and then after that I did a second masters. So at no point did I settle and say that, okay, अब मैं एक masters कर ली है, अब this is it, and I should now just sort of freeze that, and जैसे करके भी उसी से ही मैं काम चलाऊं. तो उस तरह से नहीं था. I have to say that I had to convince my parents, क्योंकि as a woman I found that parents get very sort of agitated कि you're getting older and all of that. But I was able to negotiate with my parents, so in that sense I guess I was lucky. I got a full scholarship to study abroad. I was lucky there as well. I had the grace of God there. क्योंकि कई बारी आप कोशिश करते हैं और फिर आपके लिए एग्जैक्टली exactly चीज़ें नहीं हो पाती हैं. So in some ways I have to say that I was lucky, but also I have to accept that I really didn't let it be. I was willing to fight for what was important for me. I was willing to negotiate with my parents. I was willing to put in the hard work that was necessary, for instance, which eventually got me the full scholarship. तो कई बारी ठीक है circumstances भी होती हैं which can sort of facilitate one success. लेकिन ऑल्सो कई बारी आपको खुद भी मेहनत करते रहना पड़ता है और खुद भी जो भी आपकी सर्कमस्टांस है, जो भी आपकी सिचुएशन है, उसके साथ आपको जूझते रहना पड़ता है, नेगोशिएट करते रहना पड़ता है कि किस तरह से आप उस चीज़ को ठीक से मैनेज कर पाए. सो लाइक आई सेड, आई हैव डन डिफरेंट डिग्रीज टू ट्राई एंड गेट to the point where I was satisfied and I felt comfortable with the career choice that I had made. I did several internships, and I think that is an excellent way to try out different ways to see if this is something that you would like to do, whether you are comfortable with it or not. I did summer jobs. So I do encourage people to try out different kinds of things, either in volunteer or in paid positions, to see if it works for you or not. And then gradually, if you're good at it, if opportunities sort of unfold, then it is possible to make something out of what you are doing as well. The other thing that I have found in my own career journey, or one of the other aspects that has really helped me succeed in my life to whatever extent I have, uh, uh, is that I think that more than just the education, which definitely helped, the internships definitely helped, लेकिन I think उससे भी ज़्यादा जिन चीज़ों से मुझे फ़ायदा हुआ, the things that really really helped me were my communication skills, the soft skills that I had, my writing skills. So all of that really helped me. So while you're in college, while you are sort of working and developing your career, no matter what age or stage of your career you are at, I think that the soft skills that you have can really make a difference. And in fact, because I gradually improved my writing as I went along, I then started getting opportunities to write for different newspapers and different magazines. So, as a counselor, I also found that I was able to uh, uh, run columns in newspapers and magazines. So I think the soft skills that I had in terms of communication, writing, spoken, everything helped. My team skills, my ability to work with other people, all that helped. And these are things that one can develop. And as women, sometimes our team skills are great because we have to take the family together whenever we are sort of developing any kind of an thing in the family. And also so I think those are the kinds of things which don't get spoken about that much. And sometimes people say, oh, I have all these right qualifications और मेरे पास सब कुछ है, लेकिन I am not still being able to get the job that I want, or I'm still not getting the opportunities that I want. And very often then I say to them is that, work on your communication skills, see how, practice your interview skills, see how you are sort of appearing to employers when you meet them. Because sometimes it's not just about the education, it's also about कि आप अपने आप को कैसे प्रोजेक्ट कर पाते हैं, अपने आप को कैसे प्रेजेंट कर पाते हैं. और आजकल तो टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी हो गई है कि हम लोग अपने आप को रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं, री रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं, एंड वन कैन ट्राई आउट डिफरेंट ways of saying things, different ways of speaking, and then replay how it sounds to others. So in our days, when I was in college or growing up, those kinds of things were not possible, but now those are possible, and those are very easy ways of doing things. And that I think it also helps to know what your own priorities are. And that brings me to one of the questions that has been asked to me by Anon 3, who is, I think, 23. And she started off her education by trying out chartered accountancy, and obviously did not like it. Luckily, her parents, I think, were open about her dropping her CA and moving on to law. However, now she writes that even though now, while she's working as a lawyer, or at least interning as a lawyer, she's finding that the salary as an intern is very little, and the number of hours that she's required to work in the legal practice are, I think she writes that it can be anywhere from 14 to 15 hours a day, which is a lot, no doubt. So but she's enjoying doing law. So I think so she asks whether she's made a mistake by choosing law, or should she do something different, or how else could she sort of then plan her career out. So what I would say to Anon 3 is that if you're enjoying law, then definitely stick with it. Definitely stay on with the profession and the career. It's sometimes hard to find a career where it's like the perfect fit for yourself. So if you've managed to find it so early, then I would definitely encourage you to continue with that. The other thing that I would say is that, like I was talking about earlier in my previous journey as well, that the internships are a great way. So, you've spoken about doing an internship in the litigation field, but maybe you could try out human rights law, you could try out intellectual property law, you could try out bioethics law. So, there are different kinds of specializations that are available within law as well, which could help you. So, uh, and no matter which career or which field the others, those of you who are watching this, might be in, I find that doing internships in different settings can really really help you to understand कि ये आपके लिए है कि नहीं, and sometimes you might like the job, you might like the content, lekin you may not like the working hours. And sometimes you may love something else about one. So there's always a give and take. Nothing is perfect in life, as we all know. कहीं मुकम्मल जहाँ नहीं मिलता, कहीं ज़मीन तो कहीं आसमान नहीं मिलता. तो उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से यू ऑलवेज हैव टू थिंक कि ओके आई एम trying this out. These are the things I like about it, these are things I don't like about it. And journaling about your internship is a great way to know कि अगर आपको वो जो आप काम कर रहे हैं वो आप इंजॉय कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, प्रोज एंड कॉन्स क्या हैं, व्हाट आर द पार्ट्स दैट यू आर enjoying, what are the parts you're not enjoying. So those kinds of things you can keep track of. You could either do a Excel sheet on your computer, you could do it little notes on your smartphone, you could have like a diary and sort of write notes in it, whichever mode you use. The thing is that the useful thing in this is to keep trying to analyze what is working, what is not working, what are you willing to compromise on to gain what. So that really can help you to decide between the different types of legal practices, and make up your mind as to which particular area that you might like to work with eventually. As far as the salary is concerned, or as far as the money is concerned, I think that comes with time. I wouldn't worry so much about it. I know of lawyers who earn quite a bit. I mean, like, if you ask a lawyer what the consultancy fees is, it's just like, oh my God. So, so I wouldn't worry so much about how much you make at this point, or in 2 or 3 years from now, or whatever. Once you will find your niche, once you will know this is what you're good at, and your clients will start to see that you are actually really excelling at something. So the other tip that I would say I would give out to all of you who are watching is to have a bit of a long vision for your career. Think कि ये सिर्फ आज के लिए नहीं है, ये अगले 10 साल के लिए हो सकता है, और इट डजेंट मैटर कि आज मैं क्या इसके लिए कमा रही हूँ, इसमें 3 4 5 साल के बाद ग्रोथ हो सकती है. एंड इफ यू आर रियली गुड एट समथिंग, देन इवेंचुअली money will come. You may not always end up driving like a real posh car or a BMW or whatever, but that is not always the target also. Sometimes you just need to make a good living, जिसमें आप अपना नीड सेटिस्फाई कर सकते हैं, एंड येट यू आर हैप्पी एंड कंटेंट विद व्हाट यू आर डूइंग. क्योंकि आई फाइंड कि लाइफ में आप सिर्फ अगर पैसे के पीछे भागेंगे तो, एंड कई लोगों ने मेरे को उस तरह के भी क्वेश्चन पूछे हैं वेर दे हैव आस्क्ड कि हमको 15 लाख कमाने हैं या 20 लाख कमाने हैं और हम वो कैसे करें. तो टारगेट रखना अच्छा है कि मेरे को इतना पैसा कमाना है, उसमें कोई हर्ज नहीं है. ऑल ऑफ अस नीड मनी एंड ऑल ऑफ अस नीड वेज टू मेक इट वेल. लेकिन जो मेरी अपने एक्सपीरियंस से भी थिंकिंग रही है कि सिर्फ आप पैसे के पीछे करो तो you can never give your best to whatever you are doing. I would say at this, I think Anon 3 is barely 23. I think in the earlier stages of your career, you really need to work hard and you really need to focus on कि मेरे को इसमें नया क्या सीखने को मिल रहा है, न्यू अपॉर्चुनिटी क्या है, नेटवर्किंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ क्या हैं. क्योंकि अ लॉट ऑफ करियर ग्रोथ दैट हैपन्स समटाइम्स इज़ नॉट जस्ट अबाउट कि आप कितना काम करते हैं. समटाइम्स इट्स ऑल्सो अबाउट वॉट काइंड ऑफ अ नेटवर्क यू बिल्ड विद अदर पीपल. जैसे शीरोज अपने आप में ही एक नेटवर्क है, पर उस तरह से आपका एक प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क भी है. सो समटाइम्स अ जॉब कैन गिव यू एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू नेटवर्क विद पीपल. सो आई वुड sort of have different kinds of objectives on my agenda with during an internship. एंड आई वुड से ओके, इस तरह की चीज़ें मेरे को यहाँ पर सीखने को मिल रही हैं, इस तरह का मेरे को ऑब्जर्वेशन करने को मिल रहा है. एंड देन डाउन द लाइन सी how the financial growth can happen, or how good you are at what you are doing. You might find that okay, you don't want to do 14 hours a week or 14 hours a day. Sorry, no, who wouldn't want to do 14 hours a week, right? No, 14 hours a day. So then I would say that that's all right. You can look around and see, and the good thing about being a lawyer in a way is, and various other professions are like that, CA is like that, counseling is like that. There are various professions which allow you to be an entrepreneur, which allow you to be a consultant. I started my private practice mainly because I wanted to manage my time in ways that was more conducive to my own lifestyle. So some professions sort of give you that freedom to be able to work for yourself. So I would say that how many hours a week or a day you want to end up working 5 years from now can be a decision you can make later. At this stage I think you need to be focusing on कि मेरे को इसमें लर्निंग क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं और नेटवर्किंग क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं, और टॉक टू योर सीनियर्स, टॉक टू देम अबाउट what are the other types of courses you should be doing, how can you improve yourself. As long as you keep the focus on your personal growth, as long as you keep the focus upon what is it that you will gain out of the entire experience, whatever the experience might be. It might be an internship, it might be a startup that you have started, it could be a course that you're doing. So if you focus upon आपको उसमें क्या सीखने को मिल रहा है, तो you will find that you keep your focus on that. Don't worry about I'm doing 14 hours a week or 14 hours a day, sorry. And sure, down the line you definitely want to have more conducive working hours, you definitely want to have work life balance, but that will come. But to begin with, I would say that focus on your growth and your learning, and talk to your seniors about what next steps you can take. to maybe you can specialize further in, say, things like patent law, like I mentioned a few others earlier. And maybe that can help you have better working hours, and maybe more conducive work life balance as you go along. So I hope Anon 3 that really helps you in terms of what we've been speaking here. Now I'll go on to the question that Anon 2 has sent me. Excuse me. So Anon too writes to me that she really enjoys filmmaking and videography, and she's managing to make sometimes even 20,000 rupees per project as a freelancer. And so first, Anon too, I really want to congratulate you on this achievement. I'm really glad to know that at such an early stage of your career, you are being able to get freelancing projects and be financially productive as well. So that's great. Further, Anon too sort of asks me about the concerns that her parents have about her specializing in media. And I think her parents seem to think that she may be better off doing maybe something like an engineering or some other qualification, whereas I think she herself is sort of more interested in the media field. So she's asked my advice whether she should go ahead with the media, she should go ahead with the engineering, or any other career or profession. So what I would say to Anon too on this is that uh, these days doing a bachelor's degree or a master's degree in media is not as limiting as it used to be. And when you do your first degree in a area that you already know that you're not interested in, then you might find that later in your career, later in your life, it might limit you in terms of, say, you do your engineering. Then what happen is that the jobs that you start getting are all engineering based, and you start to get propelled in a particular direction, which if you already know it's not what you want to do, then I would advise you not to go in that direction. Like I said, these days studying something like multimedia, computer graphics, um, uh, even things like film and television is not always about sort of going in the film industry per se. You can always be looking at things like website developments, doing corporate films, doing documentaries. There are so many kinds of media related things that you can do. And also you might want to be a broadcast journalist, and where your some of your video skills might be, or once you have a degree, it'll help you strengthen your skill set such that maybe you can freelance in that area and build a good private practice along your own skill set. So I would personally say that if you're already enjoying filmmaking and you're reasonably successful at it, then maybe I would talk to my parents a little bit more in terms of what their concerns are, what are the kinds of things that they are worried about, because they might have their own reasons as well. So that is not to say कि parents की सुननी नहीं है. That is to say that try and understand where they are coming from. And if at all अगर आपको लगता है कि they are totally against your studying media or studying something related to it, then you could consider doing maybe something related but not engineering. So I wouldn't go as far as out as doing engineering, but I would for instance consider maybe studying English, for instance, because that can strengthen your writing skills, that can strengthen your reading, and maybe down the line it can help you with your video making as well, or any other sort of what should I say, your media related kinds of jobs. So I would try and look for something which is as close to your interest level as possible, without alienating your parents, but try and still negotiate with your parents to try and see if you could potentially do what you are definitely interested in, because it will definitely give you the skill set necessary to further push your strengths away and make it into a firmer sort of ground which you can use later. So that is what I would say in terms of how to plan your career, and I hope and on to you found that useful. Um, Okay, so Ankita here has asked me that no matter which career we choose, but after some time our life becomes routine. So same thing, day in and day out. And I definitely agree with you. I've been a counselor for 25 plus years. So definitely I think that the moment we stop growing, the moment we stop learning, the moment we lose interest in developing ourselves further, you will find that life becomes very boring and monotonous. And that is true in everything. That's true in our relationships, that is true in our way of doing things. So वो जो एक चीज़ है जो constantly आप grow करें, constantly आप अपने आप को improve करें, वो आपकी जिम्मेवारी है. That is your responsibility. If you enjoy change, if you enjoy growth, if you like being creative, then you have to pay the price for it, which means that you have to study and you have to do things on the side. So like I said earlier, that I have done some online courses myself, and sometimes I start online courses, even though I may not finish them. Some I have finished, just to clarify, but some I have not. But I sort of audit it as much as possible, as much as my interest sort of pushes it forward. And for instance, Fair and Lovely has this career academy where they are running some online courses as well. So that can be a good start. I think the link for that is on your Sheroes website as well. So that can be a good place for you to start in terms of doing some online courses, or doing something different. In fact, sometimes I tell people that even something like doing something differently, the same thing differently, can actually create different linkages in between your neurons which are in your brain. So if you're walking, say, to work every day on a certain route, I would say walk a different route on a different day and look at different things. So look at the different trees, the different landmarks that come your way, and you would find just the process of doing something differently actually then forces you to pay more attention to what you are doing, and that then in turn can make it more interesting. Similarly, in your professional life also, if you find that things are getting monotonous, you can shake things up a little. Every job may not allow you too much creativity or too much change, but if it is something that's important for you, then you can look for avenues. You can talk to your boss, you can talk to the people that you work with, and see which are the ways that you can do things differently, such that the monotony doesn't set in. But like I said, ये आप अगर सोचें कि दूसरा ही आपको कोई चेंज आपकी प्लेट पे ला कर देगा, वो हमेशा पॉसिबल नहीं है. We have to bring change in our lives ourselves. We have to go out and seek different ways of doing things, different ways of solving a problem, because that is what then keeps us engaged with it. That is what, for instance, keeps us thinking that even though I'm so much older, I still want to seem relevant to people I work with. So I think that is your own inner desire which you have to fuel, and you have to uh, sort of take it forward from there. So, Ankita, I hope that sort of helps you to understand where I am coming from. Um, Okay, so I have Anon 3 who has done her BSc in chemistry, and she's preparing for her competitive exams, and she's asking me about doing masters, but whether I should do the masters in life sciences or economics. um, so I both I so she's asking how to go ahead and how should I choose the option. So that's a very interesting question, from chemistry to economics. In this connect, what I would say to you is, again, journal or create an Excel sheet and research career profiles in chemistry. What are the career options in chemistry? उसके साथ साथ research the options relating to economics. Now economics immediately you may not be able to do, क्योंकि economics at the undergraduate level you need to have done economics to pursue it at the master's level. लेकिन certain kinds of business courses, certain kinds of accounts courses are possible, MBA particularly, but there are several other courses as well which one can do after having done an undergraduate degree in another subject. अगर आपको लगता है कि साइंस से दिल दिल भर गया है और साइंस नहीं पढ़नी है, तो डेफिनेटली लुक एट अदर करियर ऑप्शंस एंड सी what else you can do with it. लेकिन chemistry is also a very interesting subject in the sense it has a lot of applications in the industry. So you can definitely whether you can definitely do a master's in a specialized field, like paints, textiles, paper. There are so many other related fields, or if you have an interest in bio as well, then biochemistry, microbiology, sometimes they will let you do with a chemistry background. So what I would say is कि पहले एक बारी थोड़ा सोच लो, केमिस्ट्री को डिच करने से पहले थोड़ा सोच लो कि आपका दिल करता है फर्दर साइंस पढ़ने को कि नहीं, क्योंकि वंस यू विल मूव ऑन and do your masters in another subject, then it'll be very difficult to find a route back into sciences, because sciences little bit you need continuity. So if that is not happening, then that can be difficult. So I would stay with this question a little more and see what about the chemistry I enjoy, what about it I don't enjoy, and similarly what about the other profession I might like, and what are the career growth possibilities there. So, and that can be a career sort of a choice making process for anybody who's trying to identify between two courses or three or four courses, because each course, if you research and these days on Google you can do a lot of research that can really help you decide whether it is something that you would enjoy doing or not, and what are the kind of courses you would end up doing in it, and that can help you sort of decide between one and the other. So I hope Anon 4 that is something that you have found useful. Now I'll go on to the question that Anon 5 has asked me, where she's saying that is there any scope in fashion designing. क्या कहो, फैशन से तो दुनिया चलती है. So fashion is such an interesting field, but first I think before you sort of get excited about getting into fashion or accessory or jewelry or any of those kinds of designs, I think you should decide कि आप में क्या टैलेंट है, आप में क्या कैपेबिलिटीज़ हैं, और उन कैपेबिलिटीज़ का बेस्ट यूज़ क्या होगा. लाइक आई वाज सेइंग अर्लियर इन माय टॉक एज वेल कि यूज़ योर स्ट्रेंथ्स, आइडेंटिफाई योर स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड यूज़ देम. वेरी ऑफन वी गेट फोकस्ड अपॉन कि मेरे में ये कमी है, मेरे में ये चीज़ नहीं है. लेकिन अगर 4 चीज़ नहीं है तो 10 चीज़ है भी. So your the pool of strengths that you have is much bigger than the pool where you might feel ki these things are not so much in me. And that's fine. I think all of us, nobody is perfect. We were not made to be perfect in this world. So all of us have our own strengths and weaknesses. So I would first try and see कि fashion design में क्या क्या requirements हैं, किस तरह की 3 डायमेंशनल थिंकिंग चाहिए, किस तरह की ड्राइंग चाहिए, किस तरह की अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ कलर्स चाहिए, and see if that is something that you have or not. So the career mapping, the way that works is that you try and see, okay, this is the career that I'm interested in going into, and these are the kinds of skills or traits that this career might require. So, for instance, now, like we are looking at fashion design. So, look at, okay, what are the kinds of things that a fashion designer will need? And then look at what are the skills you have, what are the abilities you have, and फिर try and match and see कि जो मेरी स्ट्रेंथ्स हैं या मेरे स्किल्स हैं या मेरी एबिलिटीज़ हैं, वो आर दे आर रिक्वायरमेंट इन दिस फील्ड दैट आई एम कंसिडरिंग और नॉट, कि ये फैशन डिज़ाइन की रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं कि नहीं. और उस तरह तरह से you can introspect a little, journal about your strengths, research on Google about that career or profession that you are considering, and then try and see where the match is. Because once you get a better sense of where this might lead me to, and if your strengths are matching, if your skills are matching to the requirements of the field or requirement of the profession, then the scope will always be good. यू सी दिस इज आई थिंक मिस्टेक टू थिंक कि सिर्फ एक प्रोफेशन में स्कोप है और दूसरे प्रोफेशन में स्कोप नहीं है. जब मैंने 25 ईयर्स अगो करियर काउंसलिंग या सिर्फ काउंसलिंग साइकोलॉजिस्ट मास्टर्स की थी, तो देयर वाज नोबडी हैड हर्ड ऑफ अ काउंसलर, नोबडी न्यू व्हाट अ काउंसलर वाज, and yet it was something that I got excited about and I thought I want to be a counselor. So I went ahead with it and I came back to India to sort of pursue my profession in that and things like that. And मुझे आज तक कभी भी ऐसा नहीं लगा कि I chose a career जिसमें कोई स्कोप नहीं था तब, in the 90s. अब तो बहुत स्कोप है. तो आई थिंक व्हाट रियली मैटर्स इज कि आप कितने लगन के साथ, आप कितने पैशन के साथ अपना प्रोफेशन और अपना करियर कर रहे हो. और अगर आप में लगन है, आप में पैशन है, आप अपने स्किल को हर टाइम होन कर रहे हो, एक पेंसिल की तरह हर टाइम शार्प कर रहे हो, and you are trying to be relevant no matter how old you are or no matter which sort of city you move into, then you will find ki you will find jobs, you will find work, you will get money if that is your criteria for success. Kyunki when you're good at something, then automatically you will find clients, and if you're not good at something, then थोड़ा ऐसे ही होएगा, कितना भी उसमें स्कोप होए या कितना भी उसमें और फील्ड में ग्रोथ प्रोस्पेक्ट्स होएं. तो आई थिंक मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट इज़ कि आपको क्या लगता है कि आप में क्या हुनर है, क्या कैपेबिलिटी है, एंड उसको फिर आप यूज़ करें. एंड अपने आगे करियर ग्रोथ को करने के लिए. So that was Anon 5. I hope Anon 5 you found that useful. And let me just see. Okay, so I'll take up the question by Anon 6, where she asks that she's a teacher and she wants to earn as much as possible, as currently her husband is not working, and she's also looking at the possibility of migrating to Dubai or to Canada for teaching purposes. So Anon 6, what I would say to you is this, that you haven't mentioned what subject you are teaching, but depending upon the subject that you are teaching, I would first, if at all you are researching, say Dubai or Canada or any other country, then look at what their requirements for teacher training are, or their requirements for hiring teachers are. So different countries have their own sometimes teacher training requirements, and you may be required to do those as soon as you go there, or sometimes it is possible to do them here as well. Depends upon the subject that you are doing. So I would say research that option well and be clear about it कि अगर आप किसी और country में जाएंगे तो जो आपकी present education है वो वहाँ पर recognize होएगी कि नहीं. Sometimes there are evaluation services available. World Evaluation Service, for instance, WES is one of the companies which will assess your education from your host country and then try and match it to the education requirements of the country that you are wanting to move to, and you can apply to these agencies and sort of get your assessment done. But I would definitely say go to the embassy of the country that you are exploring, get the correct information. Don't just depend upon private people that you might meet, and then there may be some good private people out there who will be able to guide you well. I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't use consultants or whatever, but what I'm saying is always get authentic information first from the correct embassy, from the websites. Get your basic information sorted, and once you have the basic information sorted, then if need be you can go to a consultant and say look for placements and things like that using them. Then there is no harm in going with somebody, but apna aapka jo basic knowledge hai, so that that way you ensure that nobody can take you for a ride, no matter what they might be offering to you. So that is one. The other is also that in India now, I think there are a lot of coaching possibilities, a lot of financial growth in teaching as well. You can take private tuitions, you can go and teach in coaching classes. I wish you had mentioned what subject you teach, because that would have helped me to guide you further. But even so, look around what are the different opportunities. Also, online, sometimes these days you can offer classes or private tuitions in certain subjects if they are popular or if they are in great demand. So, for instance, I know of somebody who takes online teaching classes and gets paid via Paytm and things like that. So these days, some of those kinds of options are also possible. So I would explore everything in India as well as abroad, and then take a call in terms of what kind of a profession or option you should go towards. But also I'm a little concerned about your husband not working, so I would encourage him to also maybe use a counselor, use a consultant, to try and see if he can get placed as well. Because you obviously, unless the circumstances are very different and I don't know anything about it, and then I'm sorry. But otherwise, I would say that try and engage with your husband and negotiate, and help him negotiate with the world, such that maybe he can get placed as well. Sometimes both of you, both husband and wife, need to work as a team. But if it can't happen, then I would definitely encourage you to keep looking at options for yourself, and take it to the best conclusion possible. So good luck to you, and on 6 for that. And now we'll go on to the next question and see. Okay, so Khushbu Vora has also asked me about the possibility of working abroad, and I would encourage you to sort of listen to the previous answer where I said that you must connect with the embassies and get the correct information before you do anything further in that. Okay, so there is a question from Parul Jain, who has done her BCA, and she's also, I think, done an MBA program, but she is unhappy with the pay package that she is receiving right now. And she's asked that her hobbies are things like painting and dancing. So can she go ahead and freelance in these rather than continue to work in the profession where she's obviously not satisfied either financially, or, and my guess is, probably not enjoying it as well. So you don't need my blessings for freelancing. I think it's good to explore the possibility to see whether if you can paint for somebody, and look at some online platforms where you can sell your paintings as well, and down the line you could look at some galleries, things like that. Or if you like to paint just on clothes, then you could look at, doing dupattas and saris, and there is a market, growing market for designer wear, or for sort of more unique kinds of things that people like to buy in the fashion world. So there are various options. You also mentioned dancing, so I don't know what your capability in the dance is, but if you can take classes, then that's another possibility. So आई वुड ट्राई एंड असेस कि जो आपकी पेंटिंग है या डांसिंग है वो किस लेवल की है. आई मीन, लाइक, इज इट समथिंग दैट यू कैन प्रोफेशनलाइज? डू यू नीड टू add another training to it, such that you can then take it further? So I would do a bit of market research in terms of what are the different types of painting people are doing, what are the different types of dance classes that are happening, or even painting classes that are happening, how much do people typically charge for those classes, what all do they offer. So do a cost benefit analysis in terms of if you were to start doing it. So initially maybe you could do it on the weekend, see how that sort of grows, and then gradually consider quitting your job, and then maybe doing it full time. So it would really depend upon, Parul, how confident you feel about your abilities, and how much you think others would be willing to pay for those services. So try within your friend circle, try within your neighborhood, but definitely do the market research, because sometimes the grass is just greener on the other side, and you think it'll be better, but sometimes when you branch out, it may or may not be exactly what you want. So I think good amount of detailed market research and having bit of a business plan will really help you to try and get a sense of whether it is something that you could do full time or not. So I hope, Parul, that helps you in terms of your career query. I have Shruti Pramanik asking me a question. So Shruti has just passed her science class 12th with science with about 56%, and she's asking me what kind of a career she should choose after this. So Shruti, I think, like I've been speaking earlier, and I hope you were listening to my talk earlier as well. But I have placed a lot of emphasis on getting a better sense of your own strengths and your own abilities, your interests, your passions, because I think a lot in life depends upon what you are good at. Because एक कोई भी करियर ये सोचना कि इसमें स्कोप है इसमें नहीं है इज नॉट ऑलवेज करेक्ट. बट इफ यू नॉट डन सो वेल इन साइंस, then I would reconsider science as a career, because unless you've had different reasons for not doing well in school, otherwise I would look at the, other kinds of career opportunities. You could look at psychology, you could look at other social sciences like sociology, or English. You could even look at commerce. So there are the good thing about having done your class 12th with sciences, that by and large both commerce and social science, or arts as it is called in India, would be open. But definitely research different options, but introspect about what your strengths are, what your interests are, what are the things that you enjoy doing, because those are the kinds of things that will really help you decide कि इस डायरेक्शन में अगर मैं जाऊं तो ये मेरे लिए अच्छा होगा. क्योंकि so that is the way I would go about it, rather than sort of just choose something blindly. I would maybe do a little bit more research about my own self. It's like this, that if I gave you a big gift wrap thing, like a present, you'd be so excited and eager to open it and see what's in that gift wrapped box. But you have so many wonderful strengths inside of you. They're not gift wrapped, or they are gift wrapped in the shape that you beautifully are. So show some excitement about discovering your own strengths, your own interests, your own capabilities, and use that then to map it with professions that require those kinds of strengths and those kinds of abilities. And I'm sorry I lost your name, but I hope um, you found that useful. I'm sorry I missed out on your name again. Yeah. Okay. So Shruti, your name was Shruti. Sorry, I just saw the question again. Yeah. Okay. So okay, so I can see Suvedha has asked me a question, and she says, I've completed my master's in sociology 2 years back, and I worked as an English educator in an international school. I've been interested in educating students at school and college level, interested in counseling too. Can you suggest something regards to my further career? Sure. So, since you've done your master's in sociology, you've mentioned counseling, and these days there are some counseling courses that it is possible to do without a bachelor's in psychology. There are institutions that offer either a master's or a postgraduate diploma in counseling, or which can then train you further in the field if that is something that you enjoy. And since you are already working as a teacher for the last 2 years, I think, so I'm sure you already know that you enjoy working with young people, and so that's a good start. If you are looking at being a counselor, then that can be a good start. You could also look at doing your masters in social work. That can be another option. However, that will take you slightly different and slightly away from the student or school and education profile. But counseling can sort of keep you within that. The other option is, of course, to maybe even consider doing a PhD and then looking at working in a university setting as a professor. So you have different options. So I think I would pay more attention to, do you want to focus more upon counseling, speaking to people? If that is your skill set, then definitely counseling can be a very good option. And however, if you feel that you prefer teaching, and then you could explore the possibility of working in the university sector, and maybe doing your PhD as well in that connection. You haven't mentioned whether you have done your B.Ed or not, but sometimes that's useful to have, uh, because some schools would like to see that the teacher training certification as well. Other than that, some international schools actually like to see a PhD candidate on, or a teacher on their file, because then you can do theory of knowledge, and you can do um, the extended essay with the students and things like that. So maybe, either counseling or a PhD in the subject of your choice could be the right way forward for you, Suvedha. So I hope you found that useful. And I think I have a few more minutes, so I could take maybe another question or two. Um, Okay, so I have Anon 7 here, who's done her graduation in 2015, and she struggled with the confusion कि मैं क्या करूँ क्या नहीं करूँ. So I think she's been confused about what career path to choose, and now she's looking at travel and tourism industry, and is exploring the possibility of doing a career in that. And she wants to know whether she should study further, or how should she go about getting a proper job. So, and on 7, what I would say is that be very clear about what is it that you're getting into. even though travel and tourism industry sounds very exciting, sometimes people who are actually working in the field don't get to travel as much as their customers do. So be very clear about what is it and why is it that you are attracted to travel and tourism industry. But if you like the idea of helping people with their travel goals, or maybe working in the tourism industry, then what I would say is that you don't probably essentially need a course in that. You could look for placements as it is. You've already done your graduation. But however, what I would say is what will really help is to maybe start to learn an additional language, because that is something that can be useful when you are excuse me, working with people from other countries or other states, and then being able to speak to them in their own language can really, really be useful to you. So I would, as an add-on qualification or as an additional qualification, I would encourage you to try and learn a foreign language, because I think being able to communicate in other people's language can really bring you close to them, and can really give you opportunities, open some opportunities out for you, which can then lead you on to other kinds of exciting possibilities. So I would say learn an extra language or two, and side by side look out for jobs and see what kinds of jobs you get. And if at all you find that doing a certificate course or a diploma course in tourism would help, then definitely you could do that. There are also courses, depending upon your interests, also courses relating to heritage management and things like that available, but those are more available overseas, though now in India we have some institutions that are offering related courses. So you could look at that kind of an option depending on what your clear interest in travel and tourism industry is. So I hope Anon 7 you found that useful. Joyshri Fukun, I think that may be the last question that I can answer today. Joyshri Fukun asks me that she was working in a cruise ship in a restaurant, and now she has given that up. And she's saying, what else can she do now? So I would say explore the possibility of being a startup yourself. There are a lot of people now who are catering from home or are home chefs. So even with very little investment, you could consider doing that for yourself. And of course, you could explore the possibility of working in a restaurant here as well. On land, that is on shore and not on a cruise ship. But you haven't mentioned why you quit your job, so it's a little difficult for me to be able to tell you. I would have liked to know what went wrong and why you chose out. But depending, if you still are passionate about cooking, and if you're still passionate about sort of uh, the hospitality industry, then those options exist definitely on land as well, and you could continue to explore those. And if you've had enough of that kind of a field, and you would like maybe something different, then depending upon what your prior background was, educational background was, you could look at reskilling and maybe starting afresh in that sense. But again, for that, since you've not mentioned too many details, what I would say is introspect. I can't say it enough. Write your strengths down, write your key skills down. Once you know exactly what your skills are, it becomes easier to map it with different types of careers that are there. And even if you go and meet a career counselor, you will be in a better position to sort of talk to them about, these are my skills and how does it match with different other kinds of professions out there and things like that. So Joyshri, I hope you found that useful. And to all of you who had logged in on the Sheroes platform, thank you very much for joining me today here. I really enjoyed talking to all of you, even though it was just me talking and you sending your questions out. But I really enjoyed it, and I hope you found some of my information and the guidance that I gave useful. So I'll wrap up with just revisiting the key points that we spoke about. One was treat your career as a journey. Don't think of it as a one-off decision. I think that's the only takeaway you take from today, then please take that, because I think career planning is a lifelong process. It's not something you only do at 16, 18, 20, whatever. I'm still doing it for myself. So it is something that all of us do constantly, and it is a journey. The second is do as many internships and summer jobs while you can, because that is what will help you know whether it is something that you've enjoyed doing or not, and you can then explore it further. Focus on your soft skills, build on the soft skills. Very often it's not just your education but your soft skills which will make a difference in the job. And lastly, constantly reskill yourselves, learn from your mistakes and build on them. So goodbye to all of you today. Thanks a lot for joining me, and maybe we'll meet some other day again. Good luck.